Welcome back to the Crypto Trends Podcast, where we cover all things cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and AI. I'm Robert Croak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Armando Pantoja. Both of us and our amazing team are excited to bring you the best information, guidance, and strategies each and every Wednesday. So follow along and always remember to take notes and take action. So Armando, let's get into talking point number one today. XRP breaks its 3.5-year downtrend. So XRP's recent momentum is driven by the positive news of it being declared not a security. And after 3.5 years, there is finally some movement and some freedom in the price action. Analysts predict a potential rally, though caution is advised due to the improbability of an $11 trillion market cap that would therefore put XRP at $200. We're hearing everyone talk about it. So many people are predicting $1,000 XRP, $5,000 XRP, and it's just not in the cards. But in the short term, XRP just needs to maintain support above 66 cents to target 75 cents and potentially $1 and beyond. So let's kick things off with XRP, the recent price action, and it recently closed another week up 9%. And that's up 14.69% for the month. So Armando, what's going on here? Are we finally going to break out with XRP, or is this just a little blip in the radar and we're going to still be stuck in this 50 to 60 cent range?
It's mostly just a wait and see right now, but there's two positive things. We know back in July, XRP, the positive news came out that they were declared not a security, more or less. And two, what's happened over the last couple of weeks is that XRP broke out of what's called a 7-year bullish pennant. And that's like almost a triangle, and it's range bound between that triangle, and it broke past one of the ranges. So a lot of people see it as a positive sign that XRP is going to start gaining momentum and start getting to the price points that a lot of analysts have predicted. But I know that one of the analysts said that it would get to 200. Now, I don't believe that's going to happen anytime soon. That would mean that it would have to be, XRP would have to be 11 times the market cap of where Bitcoin is today. So I don't believe that's going to happen anytime soon. It may be in the future, maybe 5, 10, maybe even longer, I don't know. But I think $1, $4, even $5.25 this cycle is all in range for what's happening right now.
I think the key here, and I get asked about it at least 100 times a week, is where are we going in this bull cycle? And the answer is no one knows. What do we believe will happen? I think we could see $4, $5, $6 in this bull cycle by the end of 2025. But at the end of the day, the number one most important thing right now is to maintain support in the 65, 66 cents range. Once we can show support there, because as everyone knows, it's been up, down, and it never seems to go anywhere. Once we can show that support at that 65 to 75 cent range, then we could likely see $1, and then that would really make it an interesting few months. So I'm excited about that, because that's the number one question asked on the public lives is, what is XRP's price going to be in this bull run? And nobody knows. I would think, because of all of the downward pressure on XRP for years and years. You and I have talked about it because of the case, then the settlement, no new talent. They didn't know what was going to happen. That it would be shocking to me if we didn't at least see a $4 or $5 price point in this bull run. So let's get into talking point number two, Bitcoin's best September performance since 2013. Bitcoin's nearly 7% return in September breaks its historical bearish trend for this month. And as we all know, October is usually a month where everything just rips. They call it Uptober. So it usually has an average upside of around 23, indicating some really strong price movement moving forward. So Armando, walk the listeners through, where are we at in your opinion? What do you think is going to happen in October and beyond? Because we still believe Bitcoin has a lot of upside potential for this year's end. So walk our listeners through it.
So we finished September with a 7% return. And I don't know if people remember, but if you go back 3 or 4 episodes ago, we said that September would likely be bearish.
Yep.
And it would drop, because traditionally that's what's normally happened. But it actually went up 7%, which is a great bullish sign for Bitcoin going forward, because we're in October. It's called Uptober for a reason. It's
right.
that we get a 23% return on average in Bitcoin's history, right? If we just take the averages from every September since its existence. But I look back at some numbers, and we were talking about that earlier. In the first halving cycle, 2013, Bitcoin had almost a 500% gain, the fourth quarter of that halving year. 2017, it was about 200 or 300%. 2020, I think it was 160, 70%. So we've seen huge gains in the quarter four of the halving year, in which we're going into that quarter four of this halving year right now. So I expect Bitcoin to do extraordinary things over the next 3 months when the election's over, when we get some clarity on who's going to be our president. We don't really know. Nobody really knows for sure. So once all that uncertainty is gone, I still think Bitcoin can reach 100,000, close to it, if everything lines up like I think it will. But 85, I believe, is a good target for Bitcoin to arrive at before a year's end. So I think 85 is a good target for Bitcoin before year's end. Now, the thing that I like a lot about all of this is that BlackRock has continued acquiring Bitcoin. BlackRock has acquired 362,000 Bitcoin so far. MicroStrategy has acquired 250,000. Combined, they now control 3% of all the Bitcoin in the world.
You said something on Instagram the other day, and it was pretty funny. I don't remember the topic of the post, but you talked about while we're sleeping, while the retail investors are sleeping and bearish, MicroStrategy, BlackRock, and all the others are just continually accumulating. And I think that's a really great point, because it's not that they know something we don't know. It's just the fact that they accumulate when there's blood in the streets, because they know the price appreciation is there and it's going to continue to be there, and they are betting the farm on it. So I think it's a really good technical indicator that we look at historical data because it's very promising, but we also look at what's right in front of us. And that is all of the biggest players in crypto, especially Bitcoin, are buying at every dip. They're just buying at all times. And I think it's important for everyone to understand, as a retail investor, you don't have to go out and buy one Bitcoin. We talked about this. I was in Atlanta this weekend, and we were talking about it, and people were like, I don't have $65,000 to buy a Bitcoin. You don't have to. You can buy $100 worth. You can buy $50 worth. It does not matter. It's just all about dollar cost averaging and accumulating Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of these other projects that we talk about over time, because as the stock market goes, generally things are going to go up and to the right, especially in a sector like cryptocurrency, where there is so much adoption and there is so much happening throughout all industries with cryptocurrency. So I think it's just very important for everyone to understand that. Let's go into talking point number 3. Everyone's been talking about Shiba Inu price, and it's up 20%. And the surge is really being driven by the increased burn rate and the success of its layer 2 solution, which is called Shibarium. And I think between speculative energy, market sentiment, and all of that's hyping it up, that meme coins are just back and very bullish right now. You said this about a year ago, that when we get back into this bull run, people go where they know, where they're comfortable. And that's why I think Shiba Inu and Dogecoin and Pepe, some of these older projects, are getting that momentum, because people still want to gamble with their money, but they want to gamble in something they know rather than a brand new coin. So just everyone keep in mind, I'm not against owning a portion of your portfolio in meme coins, but they're very volatile, and make sure that you understand that, and that you just exercise caution despite all of the impressive gains. So Armando, let's go into it. Shib's been pumping, Pepe's been pumping, even Doge has had some good upward movement. Walk us through, why is there so much speculation returning to meme coins, and what your thoughts are specific to Shiba Inu?
You got to remember, meme coins thrive on market sentiment. Whenever the social media sphere is talking about it, that's when those coins or meme coins tend to go up. And Shiba coin, a lot of those coins that did well in 2020, when most people had time because of COVID to look at it and see the different types of coins and tokens, those are going to start doing well again. Just like we said before, is that people just go back to what they know.
Yep.
They're not going to try to figure out any other new coins. They knew Shiba and Dogecoin went up a lot, so they're going to go right back to that. And I think that's what's happening here. But Shiba has also been doing a lot of work. They've had a lot of success with their layer 2 solutions. Their community is growing a lot. They also had that smart contract they implemented where people can vote on where they're going to invest Shiba as a community. So that also kind of converts Shiba from being specifically a meme coin to more utility. So all these things are positive signs for Shiba, but we have to remember is that it's still mostly a meme coin. And meme coins are volatile. You have to be careful. There's nothing wrong with investing in something that's volatile or risky, but you have to just manage that risk, right? You have to be cautious. You have to make sure you pull out profits whenever there's a spike, and you make sure that you don't bet the farm on just one meme coin. I've seen people do that.
Yeah, the bottom line is you've been saying it for a long time, and so have I, and that is meme coins are unpredictable. It's okay if you want to YOLO a little bit of your money into some meme coins. You read some articles that make you hyped on something or SHIB or whatever it is, but just keep in mind there's a lot of volatility, and as always, especially in meme coins, you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. But I'm definitely keeping an eye on the meme coin sector. I'm putting a little bit of money here and there in different projects. And for me, Shiba Inu hits a half a penny. Like I said a long time ago, I'm going to buy a new boat, call it a day, call it Shib, and I'm done. And that's it. I haven't touched my Shiba Inu in years. I made a ton of money on Shiba in the first pump, and I plan to do the same on this next pump. So let's get into talking point number 4. Bitcoin's path to 80K. Is the all-time high near? We're really trying to break above the 66% resistance, and on-chain data indicates a double bottom pattern suggesting a potential bull rally. We've all been talking about it for a long time, and all I hear every day is when, and the answer is we don't know exactly when. We just know that everyone is buying, everyone is watching, and with this pressure on inventory in Bitcoin, I believe we are going to see this upward momentum. We've seen a lot of price appreciation in Bitcoin and others in the recent weeks. And so I want to really walk the listeners through this of why the analysts believe we're going to retest and hit all-time highs of around $80,000. And Armando, you're even more bullish than that, and I am as well. By the end of 2025, I believe we will be far above 80,000 for a Bitcoin. But walk our listeners through it so we can give them some insight as to why and why we feel that way.
Yeah, first I want to reiterate that MicroStrategy and BlackRock bought over 600,000 Bitcoin, or they control 600,000 Bitcoin between the two of them. And a lot of those buys were off market. Yep. They're over the counter, right? They bought them directly from miners. They bought them from people who had large sources. Those are not reflected in the charts. Yeah. Because when you go to an exchange, you buy Bitcoin, the price is recorded and is shown in the charts, right? The demand versus the supply. Now, if I go to a miner and just buy like 100,000 Bitcoin directly from a miner, that's not reflected. Right. But it will be reflected eventually because it affects the demand, how many Bitcoin are available, and eventually the market starts to notice that, and then the price goes up. And that's what's going to happen into the future. But there's two price points that we have to look at right now, 66,000 and 63. It has to break above 66 in order to continue on to 80, but 63 is the one we really need to look at because that's the average price that many short-term investors in Bitcoin bought their Bitcoin at. Yep. So it's likely to be a very strong support line. So if that breaks, that's bad. And it could be a break all the way down to 52, 53. But we wanted to break over to 66 because there's nothing holding it back except for it's a 73, 74 last all-time high. But after that, 80 is clear path to 80. So we just have to keep an eye on those two price points going forward. And I still think we can get to 100 if everything lines up correctly.
Another key factor, Armando, that no one really talks about is that right now, I think it's 97 or 98% of Bitcoin wallets are in profitability. So if you think about that, nobody's selling. Everyone's holding their Bitcoin right now because they believe the bullish sentiment and they're just waiting. And I love this for Bitcoin and crypto in general because it really shows that the audience themselves are maturing and understanding the markets better, and therefore they're not buying in and selling, trying to make $100, $200 on Bitcoin's price appreciation. And I think that's a really strong thing, aside from BlackRock and Michael Saylor and Cathie Wood and everyone else stockpiling Bitcoin. I think this is a great sign for the retail markets. That high of a percentage of people are in profits because now they're thinking ahead and they're thinking positively about the market. So I think that's an important factor as well. So our next talking point is the growth of crypto gaming metaverse projects and Meta's Orion Smart. I think this is really cool. Everyone has been looking at the smart glasses, and this really signifies a significant leap in augmented reality. And with powerful AI capabilities, these glasses that Meta launched are just so much better than the old bulky iterations. I bought the ones, the Ray-Ban ones. They were pretty good, but they had limited kind of hardware and stuff you could do with them. And so I think that this Orion project really aims to integrate AI and AR, allowing more reaction and more interaction. And I think what it's going to do is it's just going to really help people as they continue to build out the infrastructure around these. It's going to really help make these glasses as ubiquitous as a smartphone. So let's talk about that a little bit, because Meta, if you remember, you brought this up, that Mark Zuckerberg got made fun of 3-4 years ago whenever they launched Meta and changed the name, and people thought he was crazy. And now he's turning out to be the evil genius that really is figuring it all out to get us to that next level in AR and in the metaverse and gaming. And so it's really cool to see Meta just really morph into this incredible platform that we used to think of as Facebook, which is crazy. So let's talk about it. Crypto right now, gaming, metaverse, and augmented reality are so hot. Let's walk the listeners through a little bit about what we're seeing, what we like about it, and where the potential is as an investor.
Let me ask you a question. You're a visionary. You created products that have changed the game. How many people have called you crazy?
Everyone. I have been called crazy since I was probably 13 years old, because anytime someone is an outlier, someone that's a futurist and not like everyone else, you're always going to be called crazy. Even my mother, God rest her soul, I remember when I created Silly Bands and it was just starting to go, and she didn't know it was starting to go yet, and she made a comment one day about, she's like, why are you always doing all these crazy projects? Why don't you just go get a job?
My mom said that to me.
I haven't had a job since I was 23 years old, and I don't plan to have one. People like me don't have jobs. It doesn't work that way. So one of the coolest moments of my life, even today, was when Silly Bands hit big. And she doesn't watch the news. She's not on internet at the time. She wasn't paying attention. As I picked her up to take her to lunch, and I took her to Target. So I walked her into Target, and we had a big display right at the front on an end cap, and she started bawling her eyes out. And I said, that's me right there, Mom. That's why I never give up on my projects and my ideas, because now I've made it bigger than ever before, and that's why. So yeah, you're always going to get called crazy when you're ahead of the curve and you're an outlier and you're not like everyone else. And don't worry about it, because you have to go with your gut of what drives you every single day. So I love that question.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out, because I like to be honest with Mark Zuckerberg. My favorite tech innovator is Steve Jobs. Second is Bill Gates, because they created entire industries. And Mark Zuckerberg, people, oh, do you like Mark Zuckerberg? I mean, who am I not to judge him? But I just say, no, I don't really like him, because he just took something that was already existing and he just expanded on it. And a lot of the concepts that he put into Facebook were stolen. So I say he's just a copy or whatever. But when he stepped into this Meta, he changed it to Meta. That's when I really started looking at him differently.
Yep.
Is that he was starting to be a leader in the industry and doing things that people thought were crazy, right? Is that I remember the media, they said he's going to drive Facebook into the ground, he's going to kill it, and all of this crazy. The media never knows with technology. They always think that, even with Bitcoin, they said it was crazy at the beginning. The media does not know where technology is going. Now, the way you know what technology is going is there's something called the S curve, the adoption curve, right? Yep. And that's how, and it's in my book actually, it talks about how you can predict which technology is going to do well or not do well. And one of the ways that you do it is that there's always the first two phases, right? There's early adopters, and then there's innovators, right? And right after that happens, there's what's called a chasm. During that chasm is when people get called crazy, right before the big break happens. And if you sit back and you take notice of all that, you'll be able to see which technology is going to do. And this is exactly what's happening with Meta, is that they're right in the chasm part. So right when they cross over, that's when the mass adoption takes place. And that's where Mark Zuckerberg is positioning his company to take profit on that mass adoption of the metaverse, AR, and everything, right? Is that these glasses are amazing, right? I've seen them, and they're far more advanced than any pair, and they're also sleek.
Yep.
They look like regular glasses. They're gonna be more versions down the line, which they're gonna get even sleeker. So I think it's a lot of great news, and I think with crypto, with the metaverse, and all these gaming projects, all of these things are gonna benefit from him putting that out there, attaching it to Facebook, and pushing it to a mass market.
Yeah, and to go back to being an innovator versus a copycat, there's something to be said there. And I talk about it a lot, whether it's our audience here at Crypto Trends or at the Rich Habits Network, is that you don't have to be first and you don't have to be an innovator to become very wealthy. All you have to do is understand that innovation of something else and improving of something else, whether it's a consumer product or a service or whatever it is, can make you millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars. And I like how you explained Mark Zuckerberg went from a copycat to an innovator. And you can always be iterating to become an innovator from where you started. And that's what I like about being out there in these markets and being able to create, is you can take something so simple that's a household product. It could be a service that's been around for 30 years, and you can make the necessary changes to make it modernized and become very wealthy very quickly. So I like this section about how Mark Zuckerberg has really pivoted Facebook into Meta and is leading the way for Web 3.0 and some of these new product offerings. So let's go into our next talking point, alt season. Which altcoins are primed for a bull run? There's so many out there, and we're always talking about when is altcoin season going to come. And with altcoins like Solana, Cardano, Sui, Near Protocol, Avalanche, they're all gaining momentum and potentially outperforming Bitcoin in the coming months. So we want to keep an eye on this. Do I think altcoin season is fully into play yet? No, I don't think so. But there are other promising altcoins like Polygon, Chainlink, Caspa, Polkadot, and due to their roles in interoperability and integrating off-chain data into smart contracts, I think all of these projects have a really bright future once we fully get into the bull market that we've all been waiting for. So let's talk about that a little bit, because as we see ourselves head into what is called altcoin season, we want to make sure that everyone understands what that is, what the story is, and what the potential is moving forward, because we saw in the last altcoin season, there were a lot of millionaires made in a very short amount of time for the people that were dollar cost averaging along the way into these projects that we're talking about.
Yeah, so let me explain what altcoin season is. That during a Bitcoin bull cycle, Bitcoin starts to go up and makes major gains. And then when people start getting those gains in Bitcoin, they say, well, I can just easily transfer this into other coins. So you start seeing that profit flow into other coins. Yep. And then we start seeing altcoins start rising because they have lower market caps. They have a lot of times they have lower supplies and a lot of things. So when the money flows from Bitcoin into those coins, we see those go up at a higher percentage rate. And that's what we call altcoin season. So we're already starting to see this form, right? We're seeing coins like Solana, Avalanche, Cardano starting to take on heavier gains than Bitcoin. Even with Solana, we're starting to see people see that as an alternative to Ethereum because of the high speed and low cost. And we're seeing a lot of money flow from Bitcoin and a lot of the bigger coins into Solana because people think Solana could possibly be an alternative or replace Ethereum. So we're starting to see even coins like Solana starting to take on gains because people see it as an alternative to Ethereum or even a replacement in the future because of its high speed and low cost.
And I think that's part of why altcoin season is so important, is that I believe it's the same way with Bitcoin. People look at Bitcoin because they don't understand they can buy whatever dollar amount they want, and they go, it's $65,000, and it has a really high market cap. So they look at alternatives to Bitcoin, which is what the altcoins are, alternative coins to Bitcoin, to be able to buy them at a lower market cap and a lower price point. And I think that's just important to understand that as Bitcoin goes up and as we enter into this bull market, that is why altcoin season generally tags along. And all of this is very very promising, but just also be cautious right now. We still have some time ahead before the election where we're going to see some volatility in the markets, both the crypto markets and the stock market. And I just want everyone to be sure that they understand when a good time to enter the markets is. I feel that you should always be dollar cost averaging and not trying to time the market. It's very important to do that. And I think it's just good practice in any type of investing is you don't try to time the market because nobody can do it. So thank you all for joining us today. I want to thank each and every one of you for following along and listening and really supporting the Crypto Trends Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Crypto Trends Podcast, on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. We're so excited for the rest of 2024 and to bring you the best information and guidance that we can to help you figure out how to navigate these crypto markets. So we'll see you next week.